Welcome to Issues and Answers with your host, Diane Kinderwater. Issues and Answers is presented as a public service to inform, educate, and better the lives of New Mexicans. And now, Issues and Answers with your host, Diane Kinderwater.
Welcome to the program. I'm Diane Kinderwater. Well, we've known Santa Fe is an art hub. It has been for decades. It's the place to be if you're an artist. Of course, Georgia O'Keeffe helped bring it to light, and with the beautiful light of our skies, she would say that's how she painted such beautiful landscapes and flowers and everything because of our lighting. Well, guess what? We have that same kind of lighting in Albuquerque. And my guest today, who is a local artist, is going to tell us that Albuquerque is actually a happening place for artists. It's an exciting time to be in art in Albuquerque. And if you're not in art, how you can become involved. There's a lot of classes to help you with your creativity, to help bring that inner creativity out. So please stay with us as we discuss Albuquerque as a happening scene in art. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the program. Welcome back. These are my colors. Isn't that gorgeous? Fused art. Have you seen it before? Do you own some of it? Well, if you don't, we can tell you where you can buy it and how you can create it, if that is what you'd like, or create any other kind of art, because there are a lot of opportunities right in Albuquerque to do this. And of course in Santa Fe, Las Cruces, throughout the state of New Mexico. We are known for our art, but of course today we're going to talk about Albuquerque and how an artist from the Midwest, from the Chicago area, came here because she thinks it's exciting. Stephanie Banis, thank you so much for being a part of the program. You are the owner of Moxie Sorbet Designs, Fused Glass Art Studio. And you also teach classes at Creativity Warehouse. Welcome to the program. You look delightful, and you're wearing some of your fused art.
I am. Thank you so much, Diane, for having me. I appreciate it.
You're saying Albuquerque is an exciting place for art.
Absolutely. It's interesting because I used to live here in the 90s, and I was a struggling artist. I worked in Old Town at a gallery, and I was maybe a little bit frustrated. I felt there wasn't a lot of opportunity. And now that I've moved back, I think that the city of Albuquerque is supporting artists. There are a lot of openings, a lot of galleries, a lot of happenings, and a lot of places that are teaching people, as you had said, to reach into their inner child and do art. And I think that's absolutely phenomenal. And
you've seen the change since
yes.
the 90s until today.
Yes, definitely, definitely.
Why? You've discussed this with your artist friends, had a recent discussion about this?
Yes, definitely. I was speaking to a friend of mine who is a hot shop owner, and that means that he blows glass. And he is talking about how he wants to provide classes in blowing glass and working with a furnace to people in Albuquerque, because there is a need, but there's not a place to do that. So he's expanding his business. I also speak to my friend who owns Creativity Warehouse. She is in the pottery business, and it's the same type of thing. We have a lot of people coming in for classes who are interested in doing parties or just trying to see what they can make. And there's a lot of places that you can learn how to jump into the art scene.
Here in Albuquerque.
Here in Albuquerque.
Of course, as I said, Santa Fe was known, of course, it's still known for that, but here in Albuquerque.
Absolutely.
When you mentioned parties, people are now having parties at Creativity Warehouse. They're not going to bars.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But they're
it's
socializing.
A great alternative, you know.
Tell me about that alternative, Stephanie.
Oh, sure. So you could book a party in the party room, and you can do pottery if you'd like. You can do fused glass. You could do jewelry making, because part of fused glass you can also make pendants. There's also guest artists who come in. I believe that at Creativity Warehouse they're going to have quilt making coming up. They have had painting classes in the past, and it really is whatever people want to do. I feel like Creativity Warehouse is really pushing to get artists in to teach that.
And there's individuals who come in to learn, but I've heard of that in recent years, the kind of phenomenon of people, girlfriends getting together to socialize, but to create something together.
Exactly.
And learn.
And you have that shared experience of learning creating, and then you're making this memory where you have this piece at the end of the day that you are able to go home and say, that was such a great time. You know, probably a little less so if you're going out to a bar, not that there's anything wrong with that, but you know, it gives you something to kind of cherish.
How long have people been doing that? Tell me a little bit more about that.
So
getting together.
I know that I have done that with my friends. So I'd say probably really got popular within the past 10 years. At Creativity Warehouse, I believe she had just opened right before COVID hit. So I definitely know that that was part of her beginning, although COVID put the damper on so many things. So.
Are people who work together doing this? Girlfriends from high school, college, getting together? Who are having parties at Creativity Warehouse or getting together to create art together?
Sure. I would say corporate, definitely. We had some people who were residents at UNM Hospital come in and do a fused glass class. We've had camps, summer camps come in. So it provides an alternative to what the norm might have been, and being able to provide different things, especially when the schools are out of session, I think it really helps parents find something for their kids to be occupied with. So.
Good. That's the honest answer. Thank you very much, Stephanie Baines, for giving me the honest answer. Yeah, parents. That's true. What else is kept? Okay, funny but true. But corporations like their employees to not bond. What's the word that they do? Create leadership.
Absolutely.
Or what is it called? Partnership with coworkers.
Exactly. And it's a really great way. You know, you get together at an event, people are struggling to speak to one another. When you have an activity, I think it really opens the doors for people to learn more about each other too. And I will say, from a teaching point of view, seeing what people make is incredibly inspiring. Everybody looks at a problem in a different way, and when they get together...
You've seen that.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Because it should be my way. I mean, I've been in these group sessions with people, I'm thinking, it's my way.
Yes.
To do my way, but you're saying other people are feeling that way as well.
Yeah, and that team building experience of you're all coming together and you're solving a problem, even if you're working individually. You know, you're all learning something, and a lot of people will say, well, I'm not creative, and I think everyone's creative. I think that maybe someone at one point in your life told you you're not, but I don't believe that, because I think you can sit down and put something together, and I've never seen anybody make something that was awful. So,
well, I'm sure it was.
Oh, you know what? I know I've been really pleasantly surprised.
So you are the owner of Moxie Sorbet Designs.
Yes.
Which is a fused glass studio. And again, you teach these corporate people, these friends, what it's called fused glass.
Correct.
You're going to tell me what fused glass is, but before we do, when you teach, is it a 2-hour session? Is it once a week? Is it just one session for 4 hours? How does that teaching experience work with fused glass?
So the class I teach is sort of an introductory class. We do different little projects. It's about 2.5 hours. And I'm teaching people how to cut the glass, how to put decorations on the glass. At the end of it, they're gluing the pieces on. Then I'm taking those pieces back to my studio, and I'm fusing it in a kiln, bringing it back to them, so then they have the finished project.
Could they, in a 2-hour class, make something like this coaster?
Yes, absolutely. They won't be able to go home with it because I do have to fuse it, but you definitely can do that.
So describe to me, what is fused glass, Stephanie?
Yes. So fused glass...
Take a little pretty...
Sure.
That's
okay.
Beautiful.
So fused glass, you start with sheets of glass. Sometimes it's little pieces of glass. Sometimes it's little very, very thin slices of glass, or a long rod that you're going to shape.
Kind of like a window. I mean, when I say glass, I know of a window is glass. Is it like that?
It's similar, but the glass that I get is specifically formulated to be compatible with itself. And this prevents breakage, because if I were to use a window, I could only use the glass within the window. This type of glass is made so that people like me can fuse it in a kiln. And if we follow certain rules, then at the end of it, we will have a solid piece of glass.
But it's a kind of a sheet, though,
yep.
of a piece of glass,
yes.
like
so
clear
it's
glass. Like, to me, like a window.
And colored, too. Yes. So we get our colors that way, too.
Oh, you don't paint these on? It's colored glass?
It's colored glass, and we add components to then add the glass. So like that yellow kind of zigzag, that is a component piece of glass that's already yellow that you form over, you could do it over a candle or over a torch, and then you can put it on top. So yes.
But this piece here, there was a yellow piece of glass and orange,
Yep.
all together, that the artist, the student, decided this would make a nice pattern, nice design.
Exactly.
And they actually cut it as well.
Yes,
The
absolutely.
student cut it as well. Okay.
Yes.
And then they put the yellow zigzag,
Yes.
gave it to you, took it home, and do you have, put it in the kiln, made it hard?
Make it hard, yes.
So, you have them design it on paper first?
You know, I ask people if they want to do that. There are some people who might, they just need to sit with colors of glass and kind of sort through them. And it's funny because they'll start with one color palette. Let's say it's all blues, purples, and then all of a sudden they're on yellows, oranges, and reds. And so because glass, especially colored glass like this, is not familiar to them, they need to kind of sit with it and get the design coming out. And then as people around them are working, they get a little bit more inspired. So it's really a cool process, because I definitely would say it's evolutionary, and it's neat to see where people start at the beginning.
What they're probably comfortable with, like you said, the blue. I would start with blue.
Yes.
I would start with, I picked up of all your artwork.
Exactly.
This blue because I'm comfortable with this blue.
Yes.
So that's where I'd start. But you see they evolve.
Yes.
What do the students tell you after they've worked on this project with coworkers or with friends? What do they tell you about the process?
When we had the residents from UNM, it was great because it was a competition for them, because they do a lot of these team building exercises. And so that was fun, because everyone kind of swarmed around to look at each other's work, and that was really cool for them, is, oh, you thought of that, I never would have thought of that. And I love that creative spark. The other thing is, a lot of people don't believe that they can come up with something that looks good. Everybody's concerned about things looking good, and like I said, and perhaps it doesn't sound like that would be true, I've never seen anybody have something just be a complete flop. And you know, there's a little bit of suggestion in there too. You might not want to mix up those two colors, because that's going to get a little bit muddy, so maybe you want to think about this. But you can gently guide without overwhelming someone in their project.
And it's team building, that's the word I was looking for. They're team building together.
Yeah.
Regarding the inner art in all of us, schools, I'm not sure what the status is. Of course, when I was younger, we did have art in the school, and then we did not. I'm not sure what the current status is. I know that we as taxpayers pay a lot for our schools, but they might not have as much art as you as an artist would like them to have.
Absolutely. I've seen cutbacks with my own nieces and nephews, and especially in music and the arts. And I think that's one of the great things about being able to offer art classes that are out of the school, that's what they can provide, is, kids can come in, they can work at their own level of security. If they feel uncomfortable about doing some things, we can help them along. If they're really gung-ho to learn something, you can kind of accommodate them as they come in. When we had the summer camp, that was great fun, because, I have never been with a group of kids. There was about 12 kids, and they were incredibly enthusiastic about trying different stuff, and actually had questions no one had ever asked before. And I thought, oh, I never thought about that before, but okay, let's talk about this. And that want to learn something new and just be so excited about it. Even though it's summer, it's sunny outside, maybe they would rather be outside.
Something they hadn't experienced before, but something they can take home with them.
Yeah.
What is the importance of art and music?
Oh, I think it just makes us more well-rounded. I think it introduces us to cultures that we did not know about. I think it helps us also release energy and feel better about ourselves.
Why does it make us feel better about ourselves? Because it's beautiful? Why?
I would say it's that. Like, one of my favorite things to do is sing in the shower. And I just know that if I'm singing, I just feel that release and kind of better. And I think it's the same thing with art. It's accomplishing something maybe you didn't think you'd be able to do, and it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be critical, self-critical all the time. It is what it is when it's done. And a lot of times it's better than you thought it was going to be, so.
Is it a continuation of a person, what they produce, what they create? Is it a part of their personality, part of their being?
I think so. I think so. I think that inside all of us, we are creative people. Maybe, but for example, my husband's much better at music than I am, but he doesn't think he's creative. I think he's incredibly creative. And I believe that everybody has something that they're creative with, and we just have to continually look for it. For example, when I started in art when I was in my late teens, so I started when I was 18, and I did painting, I did drawing, I did photography, and people would say to me, "Isn't this wonderful? I could do this 24/7," and I didn't get it, because I couldn't stand, I wanted the projects to be done. I just didn't have that passion for it. But when I found glass, it was like a light bulb going off. And I found it later in life. You know, I've had 3 careers now, and it was
Careers
so
in what?
exciting.
Careers in what?
So I started in art, and I did, you know, I worked for galleries, and I did my own art on the side, and kind of, you know, put together a bunch of side hustles. And then I was working as a legal assistant, and then I moved on to working with electronic databases in law. And then I left that to go and study glass. So, yep. I'm
Which
on
is
my
your
3rd.
passion.
Yes, yes.
Why? And show us.
Sure.
Hold that one while you're telling us about your
Sure.
passion.
I think the reason, when I was going to go and get my Bachelor of Fine Arts, it was a throw up between getting a degree in science, I was really interested in chemistry, or a degree in art. And it sounds like that those would be far apart, but they're not. Glass provides that for me. There's a chemical aspect, there's a physics aspect, there are rules, there are certain things you have to do to get your glass to react the way that you want it to. And I can also be artistic. And I believe that that is why I'm so drawn to it. And it's the first time in my life that I can envision something and my brain will work out that problem, and I can make something as I envisioned, and that had never happened before.
And there's chemistry involved in it.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Well, all the colors have different minerals or different, you know, purple, which this isn't really a purple, it's more of a pink. Purple might have, might be purple because it has a little bit of gold in it. We use silver when we're doing some reactives and they fume. Physics-wise, the glass wants to be 6 millimeters, and I work in 3 millimeter sheets, so it'll pull back and you'll have these thicknesses that are 6 millimeter. You have to bring the glass, which is unstable, through a process of annealing, and annealing is when you bring it up in temperature and then back down in temperature in order for the glass not to crack. So there are all of these amazing things that really make my brain work, and I love that.
Don't we search for that? Keep it working. We've worked all our lives, but it's time to keep it healthy and working so we know
Exactly.
that it works.
Exactly.
So you just have a passion for it. How would you describe that piece? And what is that?
So this is what I call my lattice wave bowl. And it is, I take and cut 1/2-inch strips of glass. I usually have an idea of what I'm going to do. These are offset instead of being straight and symmetrical. And this time I was kind of inspired. Do you remember the Good and Plenty candy? And that pink and the black and stuff. But I didn't want to use the black. I thought that'd be a little stark. I wanted that gray and a little bit of that white. So I lay this all out in a pattern in my kiln. My kiln, I take it up to 1480 degrees, and then that's a full fuse. It comes back through that stepped process back to room temperature. And then the second part of the process is to put this over a mold and slump it into the mold. And that temperature...
When it's kind of soft glass?
No, it has to come back down to room temperature.
Ooh.
Yes. I mean, technically, there are artists who do form their pieces in the kiln. I prefer to work this way. I have a little bit more control over it. So when it comes back to room temperature, I empty the kiln, I put in all of the molds, and then I lay these flat pieces on top. And I only bring it up to 1200 degrees for a short period of time, so it slumps in and it gets this wonderful, wonderful edge that I like.
And how can we use that bowl?
So I made these, great story. I had a client who loves avocados, and he needed something to put his avocados in. He was tired of using his Tupperware bowl. Sorry, Tupperware. It was just his thing. And yeah, for ripening fruits and vegetables. I have some clients who are from the East Coast who don't have a lot of room. They put them on the wall when they're not using them. And
interesting. Show us how it looks up.
So it would be
useful
like
and then art.
Yes, and so they'll hang it from the wall. Also, if people have cats, because cats are quite interested in knocking things off of countertops. The other thing, people might just have them as decoration on their table. But that is what I use, the ones that have the holy.
Let's see that one.
Sure. And all three of these just came out of the kiln today. I wanted to bring them. Yeah. So this is the same type of thing. This is actually a little bit different design. I haven't done this design before, and I've only done two with this blue-orange pattern. I think it's because it's the wonderful fall and turquoise, and I really like the way this kind of came out more spider webby.
Oh, that's true. That has more holes.
Yes.
And this is more
So
webby.
this is a little bit more loose. So what I did was I created an outside square, and then I laid out the blues, and then I just brought that yellow orange. So there's a pumpkin color that I'm working with, and then a tangerine. And I just wanted to have a lot of interest in this one. So the holes are bigger in this because the glass was spaced more.
Interesting. How long does it take to bake that?
So
in
the
kiln?
first is 24 hours at least. And that depends. If it's the summertime and it's 100 degrees, it won't come down to room temperature for about 28 hours. It usually adds about 4 more hours. The second step is about 36 hours. So
But it's in the kiln for how long?
For 60 hours total.
Ooh,
yeah.
really?
And then, yeah, for me to design them and to lay everything out and cut the glass, that's usually about, it could be between 3 and 5 hours depending. So, and it really is, it's dependent on weather, which is interesting. So you could be going along, everything's fine, you're doing the same thing, and then one day you wake up and something's broken in your kiln and you're like, I don't know what happened. So you have to figure that part out.
Tell us where Creativity Warehouse is located.
Sure, it's located on Juan Chabot, and it's just south of Candelaria, where across the street from the Bob's Burgers.
Okay.
So that kind of gives people a reference. And off the top of my head, I can't remember the cross street, but they're located next to, I think it's La Salita, the restaurant, and Tommy, who's the owner, they're open 7 days a week, pretty much.
Wow.
So a lot of times they're there on Sundays for walk-ins and such. And she does have the front paint your own pottery, and then she offers classes on the wheel and in hand building. So.
What's hand building?
So hand building is when you're, you can make a mug from a long slab of clay and stamp in designs. It's absolutely wonderful. You can also do flower pots, so that's like a 4-week class. She does Friday night classes on monster building, which is really fun, especially if people are intimidated about doing clay for the first time. So.
Oh, so they're just building a monster.
Yeah, they're building a
that
monster.
Can show up and look however it needs to look without critiquing it. And that's not a mug, that's a monster. It's
Exactly.
How did you come up with your name, Moxie Sorbet Designs?
So when I was working in law, I met my husband online, and he and I took part in a virtual reality game, and Moxie Sorbet was my avatar's name. And because the virtual reality game was named Second Life, when I started this, it's actually my third life, but my second life, leaving my career and going into glass, I decided to honor that name, and that's why I chose.
Stephanie Bain is an artist here in New Mexico, here in Albuquerque. What would you like to share with the viewers that I haven't touched upon regarding art in our community?
I feel like we touched on a lot, but I would have to underscore that art really is accessible to everyone. There are a lot of art education centers. You can take classes at the Harwood Art Center. I know UNM is doing continuing education classes in glass. They're starting that. This gentleman, my friend John, who I was talking to, he owns Aurora Borealis Hot Shop. He's getting ready to open up a new studio on Central. So there's a lot going on. And, you know, if you ever are looking for something to do that's different than the norm, trying any one of these artistic things out there would be really incredible. I think I can highly recommend it.
And you meet not like-minded, but different-minded people there. Different-minded.
Yes.
At least I would. I'm not artistic, but I would meet different-minded people.
Absolutely.
That we can benefit by a different relationship.
Exactly.
To understand maybe better.
Absolutely. And like I said, I really believe everybody has creativity in themselves.
And as an artist in New Mexico, you're able to earn a living.
Yes, it's a small living. But yeah, I do a market every week up in Santa Fe at the Santa Fe Artist Market. I teach classes, and then I'm also always, looking for other opportunities to either sell work or to educate people on how to make things. So.
You were at the Balloon Fiesta in 2023.
Yes.
What were you doing there?
So I'm part of the New Mexico True Certified program, which means that all of my work that I make is made here in New Mexico. And I wanted to volunteer with them. We were able to come and to speak to people about what we do and also promote New Mexico True. And one of the things that New Mexico True does is they do like adventure planning for tourists. So we had a lot of people coming to our booth asking what they could do besides Balloon Fiesta. And I think that's exciting too, especially as an artist, being able to offer a class or a studio tour or show people how to do something or talk to them about it. We had a lot of interested people that were not only visiting, but also locals who don't know that these opportunities exist. So.
And I was one of them.
Yes,
that
you were.
Shared with me about art,
yes.
about your glass work, and also about the creativity workshop.
Exactly.
Because I didn't know. So many opportunities to do that. How wonderful. How can they find out more about you?
More about me? You can check out my website. The name of my business is Moxie Sorbet Designs. And if you type that in, it'll pull it up on Google. My email is moxiesorbet@gmail.com.
Very good. Stephanie Banis, thank you so much for being part of the program, for introducing to the communities at the Balloon Fiesta and throughout the city of Albuquerque the importance of art, the value of it, and how we can all feel better about ourselves through art, through creating something beautiful and knowing that we are creative, even if it's really deep down in there.
Exactly.
Stephanie Banis, thank you so much for being part of this community and the show.
Thank you for having me.
And thanks KCHF TV for bringing you Issues and Answers. I'm Diane Kinderwater. Make it a great week with your family. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Issues and Answers with your host Diane Kinderwater is presented as a public service to inform, educate, and better the lives of New Mexicans. To comment on today's program or to purchase a copy of any Issues and Answers program, visit sunbroadcasting.org or call us at 505-345-1991.